We are live.
Let's go, guys. So, welcome to the very first Bluebloods college football game day. Is this game day, Zach? Are we stealing ESPN right now?
Yeah, we'll go with game day.
We've declared war in the past. Who cares? It's oh, okay. Goodbye. Uh, we've declared war in the past. It doesn't even matter. We are at war with ESPN, CBS, Cox, everyone. I mean, name them. We're at war with them. But here we are. This is the very first Blue Bloods college football game day. So, guys, we have about an hour and a half of just straight content for your Saturday morning. Turn off the TV. Who cares about that? We're not watching game day. We're watching this game day. It's the only one that matters. We've got gambling picks. We've got game picks. We've got everything that you need to prepare for college football. Zach, tell the good people what's good.
Man. So first, we're gonna cover a few storylines. Brandon, things like, is Nick Saban going to coach today? Apparently, Alabama starting to rig some tests, and there's a good chance that he might be coaching today. Also, we have a big rumor that came out this week about Dabo Swinney interviewing for the Houston Texans job. And we also have the just outstanding performance of Zach Wilson last night with BYU and their big win over Houston. He looked really, really good.
I don't know how big of a win Houston could possibly be.
I remember on our preview episode you talked about how good Houston really is. So I don't want to hear a single word out of you, Brandon.
All I remember is saying that they've played one game. So I don't know. I don't know, Zach. Maybe we're living two different realities. Who knows?
And then we have a special guest stopping by. We have our guy Couch Coach Live coming on here. We're going to talk all things UNC football. They've been one of the biggest storylines. I mean, I can't remember the last time UNC was this good. It's been a long time. And we're also at the end, Brandon's going to unleash a whole new live gambling segment for you guys. And then, of course, since this is game day, we got to steal everything. We're going to make our picks live here on the live stream. We're going to recap our six picks from our last episode and pick even more games. So let's go ahead and get into this, Brandon. The BYU Houston game last night. Zach Wilson throws another 4 touchdowns, leads BYU to a pretty big, it's a big win for BYU, Brandon. Let's give them that at least.
Yeah, but you're talking like Heisman conversation for Zach Wilson right now.
His nickname is the Mormon Manziel. If there is no better nickname in college football than that, that is it. The Mormon Manziel. I love it. I will eat that up all day, every day.
The storyline I want to talk about is how in my Google searches right now, in my search history, you can see how old is Zach Wilson, because this kid looks like 12, right? I mean, and yep. I'm not saying, hey, he looks 12 like in a oh, that's funny kind of way. I mean, like, I thought that he was not old enough to go to college last night. I was watching the game. I saw him on the sideline, and I said, is this kid, like, is he eligible? Is this allowed? He's 21. He's 21. He can drink. He can gamble in some places. But I don't know. Johnny Football was trash. Yeah, I mean, not in college. I don't think he was. But
the pros definitely. College, yeah. I think he was that guy. I mean, okay. Define trash though. He never won anything significant. He beat Bama one time, and outside of that, I don't know if he did anything.
Well, yeah, and then I guess you look at who he had on his team. Yeah, Mike Evans obviously is the big name there. Also, wasn't who else? He had a good defense too. So like, it wasn't just him making all the plays.
But he also had Kevin Sumlin as a head coach. That's a disadvantage.
That's true. So I mean, you kind of got to hand it to him there.
I'll say he was decent, but I mean, so I know he's not going to win the Heisman. Okay, Brandon, can I put it like that? But
thank you.
I'm saying he's going to get, if he continues this path, he's going to get Heisman votes. I mean, on the last episode, we talked about completing 82% of his passes this season over 4 games, and last night I think he completed 73% of his passes. That's pretty good, regardless. I mean, that is a record-setting pace. And like I said on the last episode, the highest graded player in Pro Football Focus history is what he's on pace to be. That's undeniable, regardless of where you play.
That's good. I mean, but join a conference is what I'm going to say. You can't be.
I agree.
Unless you're Notre Dame, who is in the ACC essentially, then join a conference.
I think
Like,
Notre Dame's eventually going to join the ACC. I really do. I think after this year, if it all goes well, if they get to the ACC championship, I think it's a real
like,
possibility.
how far down the line are we talking about here though? Like, do you think
I,
maybe in the next few years, or
yeah,
what are we
I think it
saying?
could be within the next five, somewhere in the next
Yeah,
5 years.
I don't know. I don't know
When
about
does
all
their
that.
TV deal with NBC expire? Because I think that plays a big deal with it.
No one knows. That's a secret.
Because when they sign a contract with the ACC for football, they're going to have to the partners who have like a monopoly over the ACC. That can't work with the NBC contract. Apparently, someone said it's forever. I can see that. I can see Notre Dame selling their soul to NBC. And listen, okay,
Gosh,
I don't want to get too deep
I
into
can
the
see them
weeds here.
selling their soul.
I mean, okay, listen. I out of all the places that air college football, I think NBC has the worst presentation for college football.
Do you?
Yeah, I
That's
do.
tough. That is mean. For college
I,
football is what you said?
yeah, for college, their NFL stuff is great, but I'm not a big fan of their college stuff.
Now, who's your favorite in college then?
I don't think
Longhorn Network.
yeah, the Longhorn Network, but I don't think it gets any better than like ABC 630, Kurt Hurt
That's
and
true.
Chris Fowler. Those guys are goated in
Yeah,
terms.
Disney puts on a good show.
Yeah, and I don't think
ESPN, ABC, whatever.
let oh ACC Network. That's a bad one. But being SEC fans, I don't have to watch that too much. I
We
only
have to
have to
watch
watch.
SEC Network, and we have to listen. I'll leave names out of this, but we have to listen to some people every single game day, and it's the worst.
Listen, you know who is really goaded? Pat McAfee. He needs to call more games. He needs to go into prime time with Kurt Hurtstreet. That would be the perfect pair calling games of all time.
Let's get like the all-time worst. Like, let's get like Gary Danielson on the call with who else? Like Tony Romo saying that Dak Prescott killing his leg, getting it amputated, it's just a cramp. Let's just get that on repeat.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's
that's
bad.
tough. I didn't even know about that. Okay,
You didn't? No,
that's
Dak Prescott
tough.
broke his ankle. I guess we were recording, and
Well,
then
no,
we
I
were
knew he
recording while
broke
it
his
happened.
ankle, but I
Yeah,
didn't know
we were
Tony
recording
Romo
while
said
it
it's a
happened. So we
cramp.
didn't. Oh, he said you gotta hope it's just a cramp. While his bone
As
was sticking out of his leg.
as soon as he rolled up, his ankle looked like Gordon Hayward. I mean, that wasn't a cramp, my God. That's just a broken leg. Oh,
Oh man,
Tony Romo. But let's get to the biggest storyline of the day, Brandon. Nick Saban. What do you think about his supposed, I guess, just out of the blue recovery where they're saying it's a false positive? He tested negative the past 2 days. I believe if he tests negative today, he can coach today
I
on
thought
the
he had to pass.
sidelines.
I thought he had to pass 3 tests before he could
Yeah, he
coach.
had one Thursday. I think he passes one yesterday. So if he tests positive, I mean, tests negative this morning, I think he can be rolling.
I don't know. I mean, I think that if you test positive one time, and I mean, he wasn't showing symptoms or anything, is what they said. I mean, I
No.
get it that the symptoms don't always show. We're not a medical show, guys. We're a college football show. But like, if you test negative 3 times in a row, you got to start to think maybe that was a false positive, not to like back up Alabama fans or like COVID conspiracy theories or anything like that. But um, yeah, I mean, if you test negative 3 times, like, that's a pretty good sign that maybe you don't have it.
I mean, well, how big? So I know we kind of briefly talked about it. How big of a loss do you think it would be to not have Nick Saban on the sidelines today?
I think it would be huge. Honestly, I mean, it's Nick Saban. Take Nick Saban away from that Alabama team, and what are they? They're a team run
Uh,
by guys who've been around Nick Saban. Sure, I mean, we see some of those guys, having their own bit of fun, their own victories in the SEC, even.
yeah,
But they're still at that assistant coach level. They're still at coordinator level, and so it's not the same as when you've taken that next step, like maybe like a Kirby Smart or a Jeremy Pruitt might have. So
right.
no, I don't think. I think they perform much worse. I mean, after seeing that defense last week, and we know Saban's a defensive guy. Um, I think this defense I mean, they can't hold on to Georgia this weekend if he's not on the sideline.
Yeah, I agree. But hang on, I want to get some breaking news here. Kenny Pickett for Pitt did not travel to Miami today.
He didn't even travel with the team.
Nope, he did not make the trip to Miami, according to Bruce Feldman. So Pitt will be starting a new quarterback today.
Yikes.
which is real bad for my pick six pick of Pitt against Miami.
It's looking good for me.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
no! Oh, we just broke Nick's heart.
So Brandon, I'm not gonna lie to you here. Does this give me grounds? Because I thought he was gonna play.
No,
Can I
no,
change
no,
my
no,
pick?
no, no. You want to know why, Zach? Because guys, here's a little, and you've heard about the BYU pick. That's we're not even talking about that anymore. Zach made me pick another pick six game this week, and that's so unfair. That shouldn't be allowed. Zach made me choose between UCF and Memphis, and he knew I was going to choose UCF, and so now I'm going to lose, and it's all Zach's fault. And he chose against me. You chose against me.
I did on purpose.
What? Yeah, you waited to see my pick, and then you were like, "Yeah, I'm going with Memphis. Someone's got to lose here, and it's going to be me. I'm cursed. I don't know what I did, but I'm cursed."
So apparently, Pitt still doesn't even know who they're going to start. They said it's either going to be freshman Joey Yellen or Davis Beville.
Okay, that's kind of funny. I'm sorry for any Pitt fans out there right now, but that's pretty funny that they don't know who they're going to start like hours before kickoff.
I'm about to say, don't they kick off at 11 o'clock today?
Oh wait, do they?
Yeah, I think they have an 11.
That's
So they kick
bad.
off in like an hour,
Where is
and
he
they don't
or
know.
does he put the shoulder pads on? He's
I
gonna be
like
out
it.
there taking snaps. Has he used all his
So
eligibility yet? We don't know.
I don't know, but hey, a good thing for Pitt, Brevin Jordan is out for the Miami today.
Yeah.
That's the only target for poor De'Aaron King. He's going to be throwing to tackling dummies out there. It's just going to be
Yeah, but
bouncing off their helmets.
I guess we'll talk about it later on probably, but Cameron Harris is still a threat. Don't forget about him.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. But hey, Pitt's only allowing, I think, 50 yards per game rushing. That defense is something else. But Kirby Smart also just said that Nick Saban will most likely be on the sidelines tonight. His Friday test did come back negative. They're waiting. He was tested about an hour ago. They're waiting on the results of that test currently.
Yeah.
So apparently our Pitt insider here thinks Yellen is going to start maybe. So we'll see. I know what, I'm confident. I went with my Pitt pick. I'm going to stick with Pitt today. They're going to pull a legendary upset today, Brandon. I'm going with it, but we'll keep you guys updated on some of the bigger storylines as they come in. We have been paying attention here. Shockingly, I don't know how much we actually pay attention, but listen. So back to Nick. So Nick Saban is going to be on the sidelines most likely, guys. I mean, after 2 negative tests, I would imagine that third one's not going to be any different. But whoever gave him that positive test is it might be missing. I need someone to go protect that person because
it was a doctor in Atlanta. They had a little bit of money on the game. We know what happened. We get it.
Harvey Updike already snatched him.
He passed away. He passed away. We don't talk about the dead.
Oh, okay. Comments to myself. Comments to myself. But listen, so another big storyline, we haven't really addressed it on the podcast because it really didn't start gaining traction until this week from what I've been reading. But Dabo Swinney looks like a serious candidate for the Texans job. And he has connections with the new GM, the owner, and starting quarterback Deshaun Watson. As we all know, Deshaun is arguably the most successful quarterback under Dabo Swinney until the end of this year when Trevor Lawrence wins another national title. But Brandon, do you think Dabo Swinney should seriously consider this job? And do you think it'd be a good move for him?
That's a difficult question. I think he should consider it. Obviously, I mean, it's an NFL coaching gig. Any coach that coaches on any level. I mean, what's the goal? Your goal is to coach professional football. I mean, unless you're Nick Saban, who tries it out, realizes you're not that good at it, and then goes back to or you're just coaching the Dolphins, who are just Zach can testify. The best franchise in all football.
He told the owner, "I want Drew Brees." The owner says Drew Brees is trash, and look where it got him. They signed Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees. That should tell you about the decision making in the upper management.
Yeah, true. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Dabo. Yeah, obviously you should consider it. I mean, it's an NFL coaching gig. Who wouldn't consider that? You get to go show off on the professional plane, and Zach, he would more than likely be successful on that level. I mean, He is. I mean, you can say whatever you want to about Dabo. I mean, he's one hell of a coach, and so yeah, he should absolutely consider it. Now, let me ask you this, Zach. Do you think that if he goes to the Texans, he trades for DeAndre Hopkins, he gets him back?
No, the
He
Cardinals
just,
ain't the Cardinals ain't gonna let that happen. I mean, have you seen what him and Kyler have been doing?
yeah. Well, when's he a free agent? Is he a free agent like next year?
I think it's 2 or 3 years,
Oh, well,
and he'll be
whatever.
like over 30. And I don't think you're gonna sign a 30-year-old wide
Oh,
receiver.
I'd sign Larry Fitzgerald right now. He's like 50.
I don't know about all that. Maybe Julio. I'd go for Julio.
Julio's like 60. He's old.
Yeah, but he's been old. Like he just plays old. I don't know. He just seems like an old soul. He has all the wisdom in the world.
He probably
But
does.
I don't know, Brandon. I'm just not confident Dabo's style is going to fit in the NFL, to be completely honest with you. And if there's a job that has struggled like the Texans have, I mean, Bill O'Brien ruined that job. Brandon, they don't have a first or second round pick for like the next 2 years.
Right.
So
No,
you can't take for Trevor or Travis Etienne or save yourself with anything like that. But
it's not even that either. It's you also have to remember. I mean, recruiting's a big part of the college game, and yeah, there's some recruiting like in free agency in the NFL. But I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, there's salary caps. Like you're not going to have the same like the way that Clemson is to the NCAA. You could never be in the NFL because there's a
right,
salary cap. Like if you want that greatest team of all time in the NFL, good luck. I mean, you're going to end up being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who just sign old players for like minimum contracts. And then, on paper, you look really good. You have like the
right.
all-star team. You have the greatest quarterback of all time. You have Leonard Fournette, who was supposed to be a really good running back. Who knows what happened? Go
I
Tigers.
still think is he not a decent running back still? You think he's just like washed up?
No, he's fine. He needs to find a spot in that offense. Ronald Jones is so good, but um, you have Gronk who just might like. It's so I don't even want to make a joke because I'm pretty sure he has CTE, but um, so you end up looking really good on paper, and then you end up not really being able to do a whole lot with it because you have a salary cap, like I said.
Right. I don't know if that. So Laramie Tunsil is a great piece to have on the offensive line. That's a great player. You have Deshaun Watson. You have Reed as a safety. That's a great piece as well. But
You have David Johnson.
yeah, I guess Brandon was part of that whole thing where in 2016 he liked the best running back in the entire world, and Brandon drafted him for fantasy, and then he broke his leg.
Did he break his wrist?
Or yeah, wrist or something. I don't remember what he broke, but he was out for the season. Brandon went through a whole thing. We had to have a therapy session for Brandon that year.
I had
But
Saquon in my league this year. I'm cursed. I don't know what happened. I'm cursed.
the best part is someone in our league told you that was going to happen to Saquon too, and it happened like the next week.
Okay, but he tried to trade me like backup running backs, like six of them for Saquon. He's like, I hope he doesn't get hurt. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he broke his leg, by the way. If we're gonna go down that road, I think he did it.
Yeah, that's tough. But listen, I don't think Dabo should take it. If because Saban was set up at LSU pretty well. He was achieving, won a national championship and everything, but I don't think he was as successful at LSU as Dabo's been at Clemson.
Right.
And Dabo right now could retire, and they'd have to rename the city of Clemson after him. He's accomplished so much. You would have to name the stadium, the field, the locker room. Everything would have to be named after Dabo Swinney.
Well, yeah, he
Right
won
now,
2 national championships with Clemson. He's been to like 4.
4, yeah,
Yeah. So
and probably going to be at 5. They have the best team in the country right this second.
probably going to win 3 if I had to guess. So
Yeah, and then God forbid Trevor Lawrence comes back. just all hell's gonna break loose.
so does
in
Travis
terms of that.
Etienne because he has another year of eligibility
Oh,
because of
that's
COVID.
right. He
People
does,
forget.
doesn't he?
People forget.
Oh, can you imagine if everyone on this Clemson team just said, we'll come back and win another?
I mean, if we
You got a
have
20
to.
you got a 25-year-old Trevor Lawrence back there that should be starting for the New England Patriots, but he's back in Clemson.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know, but I mean, listen, if Nick Saban couldn't make it work in the NFL, I mean, do you have a lot of faith in Dabo Swinney?
That's so tough to say. you would have to hope yes. And like I said, I mean, we already touched on it. Saban kind of was sabotaged by the organization he was with.
Yeah.
Like he was a victim to, which I guess Dabo, if he goes to the Texans, it's kind of the same. So
I mean, it also not everyone works on their first try. I mean, you look at Pete Carroll, who fell right on his face his first stint in the NFL, and then he comes back, gets the Seahawks, gets Russell Wilson somehow, and then he goes on and wins Super Bowls, goes to a few, should have won another one. Just hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch, please.
and then
he,
you have the exact opposite in Jim Harbaugh, who
right.
should have stayed in the NFL. Comes back to college, can't do a thing.
Yeah, he was really good at Stanford. People forget how good Jim Harbaugh was at Stanford.
Yeah, and then he went to the NFL and did really well. And then is like, well, I guess I can go to Michigan. And then we're here.
He benefited from having Colin Kaepernick. That was when Colin Kaepernick's heyday, and then they almost won the Super Bowl. They almost came back and won the Super Bowl.
I know.
Well, I guess John Harbaugh was on the other sideline, but to lose the Super Bowl to your brother, your one chance at a Super Bowl, you lose it to your brother.
Well, that was a weird Super Bowl too. Ray Lewis was his last year.
They turned the lights off.
Went out. Yeah. What a weird game.
Let's see. We got just Andrew Luck and a bunch of elite tight ends. That is a good point.
Yeah.
And they had some elite running backs at that time too.
Right.
Because you got like Toby Gerhart and all that. But I'm really interested to see, because I think Dabo will take the interview, but I don't know if he's going to take that job. That's a tough rebuilding job right now. I would like to see Dabo take a more secure job, a younger team with a lot more pieces. But hey, to each their own. I can't tell anybody what to do here, but
I think if I'm Dabo, I go take the interview, get a job offer, get like the number that they're going to pay you, bring that back to Clemson and lay it on the table. Say, hey,
Clemson,
guess what?
He's already the highest paid coach in the league.
Yeah, but you got to do it. I don't know, get paid more.
Oh man, that's what he's making, almost $10 million a year right now.
Yeah, I mean, but in the NFL, you could probably get paid more than that.
Maybe, I don't know, but yeah. So
that's
we have
oil money, Zach.
I feel that, but yeah. So that's like the recap of like the biggest storylines going on. Nick Saban gonna coach tonight, guys. Just go ahead, mark it down. He's gonna I guess suit up on the sidelines for the Crimson Tide. We have Dabo Swinney interviewing for the Texans head coaching job, which we'll see how that works out. We have Kenny Pickett out today, Brevin Jordan out today. Sadly, we don't have the Florida LSU game. I know we were all looking forward to that. That was canceled since we recorded our episode. We also lost the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati-Tulsa. That was canceled due to a COVID outbreak. The Missouri game was canceled. But Brandon, next week, the Big Ten returns. How excited are you to see Big Ten football come back?
I'm excited because I need that 11 a.m. kickoff. I need games that only run for like 2.5 hours because they don't throw the ball. I need all of it. I mean, inject it into my veins. I need an Iowa Nebraska game at 11 a.m. Like I'm still hazy from the night before watching this game, and it's just the green field. And I take a nap. That's what I need. I need to wave to the Children's Hospital.
Hey, it starts Friday night. Wisconsin and Illinois play 7 p.m. on Friday. That should be a good one. But Brandon, I know you've had a problem with this, so let our listeners know, why do you have such a problem with Justin Fields being in the Heisman race right now?
He hasn't played a game. Why? Okay, so ESPN put out a graphic. Was it ESPN that put out the graphic last night? Yeah, and it had Heisman contenders. It was Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and then Justin Fields. And it had like the stats for Trevor Lawrence and Etienne right there listed. And then it was just like, oh yeah, also Justin Fields, who hasn't played a game this season. So how is he in the Heisman race for this year if he hasn't played? It doesn't make sense.
No, I'm on your side. I just wanted you to be the one to vent about it, because
it's ridiculous.
I've vented on the podcast about these teams being ranked.
Yeah,
why are we ranking these teams that haven't even played? Like Ohio State's a top 10 team.
it's ridiculous. It's I don't know. I was gonna say it's Midwest money, but I'm not sure that Midwest money exists. It's just the Big Ten.
I will disagree.
Zag's in Kansas. He said, "Guess what?" He said, "Guess what? I've seen it."
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm just upset. I mean, Nick Saban just appeared on game day. He's in his house. He's already dressed up, ready to go start coaching. He
See, you're not
knows.
supposed to be watching game day. You're supposed to be watching our game day.
No, I am watching game day. I'm on. I'm not. I'm watching our game day. I'm on Twitter. I got to get the breaking news for our people.
Zach's
This
watching game day. He's watching our competitors. This is ridiculous. We will never succeed as long as Zach's over here giving ESPN his money.
ESPN is something. But let's see. Question here: did Nick Saban make a deal with the devil? I told y'all they're forging tests over there.
I'd say no. I'd say no, he didn't. I'd say that he is the devil. Cue next comment. There we go. He's the devil. I knew it.
Oh man, that's tough. Okay, so quick question here. Can you give us like a little preview, Brandon? Who do you think the contenders are in the Big Ten for the playoffs? Realistically,
I think there's three. I think there's Ohio State. I think there's Wisconsin. I think there's Minnesota. So I think it really comes. I think it really comes down to who wins that. What do they even call? They call their conferences weird things, don't they? Or their divisions?
It's like I think it's just.
No, that's the Big 12. The Big 12
Yeah.
calls it like legends and something else.
Yeah.
Their divisions are weird, but
the Big 12 doesn't even have legends, my God.
yeah, I know that's what I'm saying, but they call them that. I don't know. So I guess it is East and West, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
it comes down to who wins the Western Division in that conference. I mean, if Wisconsin or Minnesota can push on and win that division, then sure. I mean, they obviously have a shot. But I mean, Ohio State in the West, I don't really see any competition. I think if Micah Parsons stays at Penn State, there's competition, but he
already said that he's not coming back. They flirted with it, but he's going to opt out, which I think is the biggest loss in the country.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a bad look. But Brandon, no Michigan.
Yeah. No Michigan. I mean, Zach, you're the first one who's like, yeah, no Michigan. Yeah, you are the king of no Michigan.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
I think he's on the hot seat, but you keep telling me he's not, so he's not going to make the playoffs.
You can't fire him. You cannot fire Jim Harbaugh. Try to fire him; it won't work.
You can fire him.
No, you can't.
You're paying him like the third most.
Name one person who's fired him. You can't. You can't do it. No one's ever fired him. He's unfireable.
There's a first time for everything. Just like I said when I predicted Iowa State over Oklahoma, there's a first time for everything. All good things have to come to an end. Jim Harbaugh's reign of not being fired is going to come to an end. I think it's a wrap.
His reign of not being fired. This is ridiculous. we are a joke at this point, guys. This is a meme.
Listen, Jim Harbaugh needs to be fired and take the Jaguars job.
Yeah,
because give him Gardner Minshew. Is that not the most fun press conference of all time? Jim Harbaugh and Gardner Minshew.
It's very fun. How much milk do you think is consumed in that locker room if it's Jim Harbaugh and Gardner Minshew? You know that have you ever heard that story about Jim Harbaugh? He said he used to chug milk because his parents told him it would make him grow taller. He's 6'2", so it might have worked. It might have worked.
Okay. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
But at first I was confused. I was like, are they winning the Indy 500? Like, why are we chugging milk all of a sudden?
Is that a thing? Wait, no, hold on. Is that a thing?
Yeah. After you win the Indy 500, they give you like this glass thing of milk and they just like pour it on their face.
Why? Why do they do that?
It's like a weird tradition that they have. I'm not the person. I'm not a huge IndyCar fan. So
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what the tradition is, but I know that is a tradition. Yeah, I know.
I don't trust it.
Oh man. Listen, I know there's some comments about, guest pickers and everything. We're trying to get this established first. We are gonna have some guest pickers. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We're gonna have some
We
guest pickers.
have
But
to.
guys, it is time. We have a special guest stopping by the show. Got Couch Coach live coming by. It's
What's
dressed
up,
in his
guys?
dressed all
Oh
in
man,
blue.
this guy.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing today,
What's
man?
up, man?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Ready for college football. Man, he's even
Oh
got the
man.
North Carolina basketball jersey up there.
He's got it all hanging up. There we go. You gotta love to see it.
Yes.
Man, man, we wanted to bring you on and talk about your North Carolina Tar Heels. They've been so I would say they've been outstanding. Brandon would say they have not been outstanding. So what is your opinion on how your team has performed this season?
um, to be honest with you, there's some certain things I was a little leery. I know I had an issue with the Boston College game, but then I gave him somewhat of a mulligan because it's hard to kind of come off of a double bye week, essentially 3 weeks of not playing. The Virginia Tech game was kind of it was interesting. We was leading. We had a comfortable lead. We let Virginia come back even down to a point where it was down. The lead was trimmed down to. That was it. That was kind of one of the things that was troubling. But I did like the resolve and them coming back. It kind of reminded me of when they played Syracuse, where they kind of had a slow start and then they rebounded in the fourth quarter, similar to this game. So, and I know it's not going to be perfect. But
Right.
there are some things that kind of concern me going forward, like because the way things are kind of set up, where you're gonna have kind of games where, like now, you would have a stretch now up until given where we're going to be like handily favorites. Could you still have that resolve going forward? That's my biggest thing is the focus.
Right. And so Brandon's been more critical of him than I have. So have you been impressed with Sam Howell? Do the interceptions concern you? And do you think he can start playing? We saw it a bit last week in the first half against Virginia Tech. Can he play at that level that really put him on the map from last year?
I think he can. I think, like you said, there is a little bit of, like in the beginning, you've seen kind of the interceptions, the weird kind of things. I think now he's kind of finally settling in. I think that's another thing too, where it's so weird because even it's funny to think that it's October 17th and we still kind of consider this team kind of incomplete. I guess that's just 2020 for you in a nutshell, where you would think you're in a normal circumstances. This time of year you'd be in the teeth of your season. Where this is so this is another thing where I think he will improve, and I think in these games that he's going to be playing, I mean, you think about next week, NC State, Virginia, Wake Forest, Duke, those teams, he can kind of, in essence, kind of pad those stats to kind of see. So it's going to I think even up until Notre Dame, there's still going to be a question mark where you're going to, like you're saying, you're going to have a situation where you have like 4 or 5 touchdowns, but it's like, well, he's playing against Wake Forest. He's going against an, inferior type of talent. So until you kind of see him play Notre Dame, Miami, then if we do have the luxury to get to the AC championship and play Clemson, then the body of work in essence can be complete. It is. I understand, like from Brandon, because kind of we really haven't played anybody. I mean, Virginia Tech is the only really team that you really played, and especially in this weird this year. A team especially like Virginia Tech, who's a fringe top 25 team, does that really kind of count? But it's weird. It's just that's 2020 for you in a nutshell, which is so bizarre.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I am not super high on North Carolina just because it's not even that they aren't good. I think they're a really good team. I just don't think they're living up to the expectations that people set for them. I get it; they're undefeated right now, sure, but I mean, a 3-0 start against Syracuse, Charlotte. I'm sorry, 4-0 start against who did they? No, Syracuse was
Yeah, Syracuse
Charlie
was their
got canceled.
first game.
First.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Charlie
the one
got
you called
canceled.
a struggle win.
It was
Yeah,
a struggle
struggle
win
win.
because
Yeah.
if you watch that game, it was a struggle win. A 3-0 start against Syracuse, a barely win against Boston College, and then
Yeah.
edging out Virginia Tech, who I've called frauds several times, by the way. It doesn't impress me that much. I mean, coming into last week, Sam Howell was 3-3 on touchdowns to interceptions. He had the Jameis Winston ratio. I don't know. I just expected more out of this kid. Zach wants this kid. He wanted to give him the Heisman before the season started. So if you're in my seat and you see Zach over here just saying, go ahead and hand him the ring. He won the natty. He won the natty already. I mean, then you can understand my perspective.
Oh man, but the offense. I know Daz Newsome, De'Ami Brown, Sam Howell got a lot of the shine in the offseason last year, stuff like that. What do you think of Michael Carter and Javonte Williams' performance this year? Because for me, I think they've been some of the most explosive running backs in the country thus far.
Yeah, I definitely like, especially Michael Carter, what he's been doing, especially in that Virginia Tech game, and honestly, even in that Boston College game, essentially kind of keeping us afloat. And yeah, I definitely think he has a great opportunity once again to have 1,000-yard rushing season this year, and I'm definitely impressed. That's one of the things where it's weird, like you see the performance from last year, like, okay, will it translate to the next year, or is it just like a flash in the pan type of situation? So now you're looking at it now, because I think he's almost at 500 yards at this point. I think it's 460 something, right around range, but he's nearing that. So you're like, okay, he's on clips to having a better season than he did last season. So I'm definitely encouraged. So thus far.
Right. And I mean, just looking at the team, I mean, right now, I think the defense has been outstanding for North Carolina. I think that, like, outside of the second half of the Virginia Tech game, the defense has been really, really good. The run game. What do you see that USC has to improve on to really take a shot at Clemson? Because right now, Clemson looks like they're A+ at every single position on the field right now. What does North Carolina have to improve on to really have a shot at Clemson if they wind up in Charlotte?
It's going to be a lot of things, and especially defensively. They have to definitely tighten up on defense. And then on offense, so there's certain points in their offense where they seem kind of lackadaisical. Clemson is just one of the teams you damn near going to have to play perfect. And you can't give them opportunities, or you can't squander opportunities to give them, the type of situation. And you even look at like a team like a Miami, where you seen kind of in certain spots where they were kind of like it was ebb and flows, but then once Clemson put the hammer, it was good night. And this is a situation where Carolina, they want to stay in this game, and just like even kind of indicative of last year, which even though last year is a different team, obviously with Clemson and us as well,
right?
When you have these type of opportunities, you have to seize those opportunities, and you're gonna have to be smart. You're gonna have to be disciplined. It's gonna be a war of attrition, and you have to pack your lunch. Pack 2 lunches.
I like it.
When you playing Clemson.
No doubt. But I mean, so you probably watch a lot more ACC football than me and Brandon. I mean, we watch a lot just because we do the podcast, but SEC knowledge, we got all of it. But I know you probably got a little bit more ACC knowledge. Is there a team in the conference that's really surprised you with how well they've played when looking back to your preseason expectations of all these teams? Like, can you give us a team or two that has really just absolutely, like, I guess, outlived their expectations, like exceeded them, or anything you want to say about any teams like that?
A team that Steven was in bizarre way that kind of scary going forward. Pitt. I think even it's weird to think Pitt they're literally 2 points away from being 5-0, which is the most bizarre thing. And that's another thing where I think, I'm not saying that Miami is in trouble today, but Miami should at least kind of have there should be some red flags kind of coming up and thinking, wow, this team, Pitt is just they're just a weird team, especially right around this time, like October, November. For some odd reason, they always have some type of signature win right around this time, and then coupled with the fact that this team could have literally been 5-0, which is bizarre. And I think that's
Right.
just that's the ACC for you in a nutshell. Where
Pitt's always that team. I picked Pitt to beat Miami today,
Mhm.
but their quarterback's out today now apparently, and that's a huge loss.
yeah.
Kenny Pickett being I think he's a fourth year senior, right? He didn't get redshirted. I think this is his fourth straight year starting for
I
them.
think so.
So, and they got two true freshmen behind him. That's a really, really bad look. But right now, so is there any team that's disappointed you in the ACC this year where you're looking back like, how in the world are they this bad?
The one that really, I know this is going to sound really weird, like Florida State in a bizarre way. Because I still think, even though like today today is quote unquote somewhat of a trap game for us, still Florida State cupboard isn't empty. And as you know, and when you came onto my part, we talked about the ACC, and generally arguably the two best players in this conference outside of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, Marvin Wilson and Asante Samuel Jr. And you do that talent, and then just the whole thing of. You think I know to understand that the Miami loss, even they almost lost to Jacksonville State.
Yeah,
I mean, if
they were
it
down 14-0.
like literally, like if it wasn't for Jordan Travis coming in that game, this team would have lost to Jacksonville State. So and I do like the resolve that they've had, as far as playing Notre Dame. I mean, it was. They only lost like 15 points against Notre Dame and South Bend. So, but still, you think when you have a team, especially in college is a little different. It's almost kind of reminiscent of just like in basketball in a sense where count how many pros on this team is usually an indicative of a team success. But and then you would just think just a simple fact, especially like just the brand itself. So I think Florida State just the overall it's really as crazy how they have fallen and it's feel like the ceiling. I mean, but the bottom hasn't fell yet from them. So it's feel like it can get even lower, which is weird.
Right. Yeah. I know Brandon's been real critical. I think we've both been super. I've been almost too critical of James Blackman. You're
bullying that kid.
Yeah, it's borderline bullying because to be a quarterback in Florida State, your QBR is what 3 straight weeks under 25.
Yes,
I have no doubt. Like I might be too confident. I have a feeling us three can combine for above a 25 on a bad day. And that's if we don't even stretch. It's that bad. I mean, and for me, I mean, where do you think it stems from? I mean, I know we've all kind of followed Florida State. I mean, this kind of looks to me, it stems all the way back to when Jimbo Fisher just up and left and everyone was kind of like, why would you leave Florida State? Did he see the writing on the wall? Was it a culture issue? Like, looking back now between him, Willie Taggart, and now Mike Norvell, someone had to see something, right?
Right. And that's why, and we were all like, not dumbfounded, but like, you would go to Texas A&M and especially in a log gym of the SEC where you can go to a Florida State, you can somewhat low-key dominate because you still have that brand still resonates, especially within the conference. And I mean, I understand they're saying, well, Texas A&M got great facilities and that's where Jimbo's from. But then a part of me is like, okay, Florida State isn't Florida A&M. They're not, they have facilities too. They have wealthy endowments as well. They have people. They're well connected. You have this isn't a situation where Texas A&M in essence was somewhat of an upgrade. But to me, I always thought Florida State, especially for him, would be the ultimate job security. It's the fact that he's won a national championship. He's done something even like we put him in a kind of somewhat of a pantheon of a Bobby Bowden early on in his career. So you're right. And I thought that was really weird. And then, like you said, the Willie Taggart situation and how that ended. And just now even like Mike Norvell, where he's lost the locker room already. Like he's lost the locker room. We talked about that, 6 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And he's like, and that's right. And that's why I was like, how do you lose a locker room, especially considering the fact that these kids, well, the kids been on campus, but just the simple fact of, especially in this type of climate where the interaction and the closeness of the team isn't really like how it would be in normal circumstances. Like, how do you lose a team, especially in a social distance type of climate that we're living in? It's bizarre. So all this is just that's what's so weird and kind of. And it's funny, and I kind of hark on it. It feels like I'm in the twilight zone because I've been following Carolina since 1998, and it just feels so weird to think that it's a primetime game where and Doak Campbell and we're the 5th ranked team in the country, and how it feel like it's such a role reversal. Somebody would told me 22 years ago that you would be in this position, that Florida State is in this predicament, and we're in this predicament. It feels so. It's great. But it feels weird. It just feels it's like Groundhog Day, like literally, like it's so bizarre.
Yeah, and I was telling Brandon, like the weird part about it for me is I saw that this was the 6:30 game for ABC, and I asked Brandon, I was like, "How is this game primetime? This is going to be a massacre if both these teams play to their like what they've been playing throughout the season." I was like, "This game should be at 8 a.m. on Monday morning. Like, no one wants to watch Florida State give up that many points. It's bad." And I feel like, you know, and I ask Brandon that all the time, like, it never, because when we grew up, I mean, I know Brandon can speak on this more too. I mean, Florida State for me, my stepdad, when I was younger, was a huge Florida State fan, and they always were just they were either 1 or 1A in the ACC year in and year out. And now I think me and Brandon both had them outside our top 8 in the ACC in preseason predictions, and I felt bad. Like we were making predictions, and I texted Brandon. I was like, "There's some teams where I'm like, how are they this low?" But then looking at their schedule, I only see a few, like 1, 2, maybe 3 wins on their schedule, and we're talking about a team that lost to Georgia Tech, true freshman quarterback, true freshman running back. They have youth everywhere. I mean, I predicted Georgia Tech to go 0-10, and you lose to Georgia Tech at home week 1. I don't know, but yeah, Brandon, you can speak on it a little bit more, but I don't know what's going on down there in Tallahassee.
It's insane. I mean, who would have thought, like you said, I mean, growing up in the 2000s, in the 2010s, and we see Florida State just stay great under Bobby Bowden, go to the national championship with Jameis Winston. I mean, nothing but greatness out of them for the past, I mean, count the decades, however many you want. They've been great. And then suddenly, you know, over the past 3 seasons, what is going on? To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. There's something, I think, deeper than just a coaching issue. It seems like a culture issue at Florida State at this point, which is crazy to say. I mean, you know, looking back 5 years ago, who could have predicted that?
No. Back to the culture issue. I mean, I think we've talked about it on our podcast as well. I mean, you look back toward the end of Bobby Bowden's reign. There were players being suspended for taking money. They had a bunch of wins vacated. Jimbo Fisher had the whole Jameis Winston. Every other week he was in the news for doing something dumb. And then you have the Mike Norvell situation where, if anyone who's listening doesn't know, it was right when the country was in turmoil, and he said he had one-on-one conversations with all his players about the racial tensions in America. And then his star player, who's going to be a top 10 pick, came back and said, "Yeah, no, he didn't. He's a liar." And I was like, how in the world did you expect to get away with that if that was really a lie? You just thought you were going to tell the national media something and that your players were just going to go along with it, and they're not on campus, they're not with you or anything? I mean, I don't understand how he thought he was going to get away with that lie, or how he thought that was going to make his team come together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm speechless. I don't. It's ridiculous.
It's bad. So yeah, man. So we have you on for like another 10 minutes. So I want to get your breakdown of, first, where do you see UNC going the rest of the season? What do you think? What is your realistic prediction for UNC the rest of the season? And based on that, how do you think this team is going to perform against teams like Notre Dame, maybe Clemson? You have Miami, who looked like a pretender last week, but everyone knows what Clemson can do to a team once they get rolling. And then even, like you said, a team like Pitt. How do you see UNC performing down the stretch this season?
To me, realistically, I see that could be a potential bump in the road. Now, the time of the bump in the road is kind of interesting. I think the biggest one. I think is going to be between that Notre Dame and Miami, where they play Notre Dame on Black Friday, and then they go to Miami on December 5th. That's going to be kind of where it's going to be just a very, very weird scenario where I don't know, a part of me, I think that Miami game is going to be it's so interesting. I can see us taking care of Notre Dame at home. Then I'm thinking to myself, are you going to get will that momentum carry over to go into Miami in December? That's going to be the biggest question mark for me. So I still think even with a one loss, they'll still play Clemson. And I think Clemson is going to be a tough game. I just hope this time it doesn't come down to an extra point or a bad what is it a bad
2-point conversion play.
Yeah, bad 2-point play.
That was the worst call of all time. I was so upset.
Right. Or a terrible onside kick call that went wrong on our end. And I definitely think that they'll be in the game with Clemson. I think we'll give Clemson their biggest fit. So I look at that. I'm hoping realistically at least a New Year's Six bowl. I can see us potentially at this point. I can see us when everything's said done on December the 20th when we had the rankings. I can see the team maybe being like the 2 out potentially, because I think, and no pun intended, we'll probably be bypassed by a few blue bloods,
right?
Like Alabama and whoever a fringe blue blood of the SEC. So I look at this team. Probably the ceiling is probably maybe like 6 as far as the final rankings, and then potentially being a New Year's Six bowl.
I like that. Hey, I have no problem with that. Like you said, I think Clemson is going to be, right now for me at least, I think Clemson looks like the best team in the country, and it's by a significant margin. I think even Brandon and me were talking that I don't think there's a team in the country they shouldn't be favored 10 or more points on, including Alabama and Georgia. They look that legit. But so another question here is, what do you see? Do you see Sam Howell rebounding and getting any Heisman votes toward the end of the season? I know Brandon doesn't. I think he's going to be fine. Like you said, there's some easy games coming up. I think he's going to eat. He's going to get a lot of stats. But let's say he goes in and beats Notre Dame, beats Miami. Going into that ACC championship game, I think the country's eyes are going to be Howell versus Lawrence, and that is going to be a huge, huge chance for him to gain some traction.
Yeah, because I like you saying, and we talked about it earlier. Yeah, because I think he could be able to feast between now, no pun intended, up until Thanksgiving, to Black Friday, where you play on Notre Dame on 27th of November. And then if you have a good, good outings against Notre Dame, which I still think Notre Dame will be kind of like, I think as far as at that point, BCS rankings probably going to be kind of evenly, as far as I'm looking at maybe like a 5-6-ish. I think we'll all kind of be kind of in that fold.
Right.
So then that'd be like a de facto kind of elimination game. So if he can get that and take care of business against Notre Dame at home, probably the big at that time be the toughest competition, coupled with a great, a great end of October, pre-Thanksgiving stretch, coupled with a Notre Dame win, and then he goes to Miami, which who knows what Miami will be, and I still think Miami will still be probably in the top 15, regardless of, I think, because even you losing to Clemson by that amount, we'll give you a mulligan. I mean, my goodness, we'll give you a mulligan,
especially in Death Valley.
Correct. You get a mulligan. I mean, I understand. Yeah, 17-42 in normal circumstances. Yeah, you're out. It's Clemson. Right. Clemson's just different. But I think then you go, and then if you go to Miami and you have a decent game there where, you can that would, because December 5th would essentially would be the final game in essence where they would count. Even though some people would jump the gun probably in a weird way. Most of those voters kind of jump the gun and vote, the week prior to sometimes. So the biggest mark is probably going to be that Notre Dame, because a lot of and what's weird about that game, because a lot of eyes are going to be on that game because obviously it's a Friday game. So normally 9 times out of 10, that's going to be probably the only game that's going to be on. So a lot of guys, if it's going to be a weird way where it's like if you're on the fringe and you're undecided, Sam Howell that's going to have to be his Heisman moment, which is in a bizarre way that November 27th would constitute as a Heisman moment, but that's 2020 for you in a nutshell.
Right.
So everything has to be paraphrased as 2020. Right. So I think he would have to have essentially his Heisman moment that in that situation where he's head and shoulders above the competition and he's going against a superior, and he will be, be considered an underdog in that matchup. And will probably be the only game in town. So, essentially, this is where a lot of eyes are going to be glued to him because, it just how the landscape of college football is. Eyes are going to be on at all different kinds of everywhere. And you thought, that'd be his standalone game where everybody essentially will have eyes on him. So he's got that Black Friday matchup, he's got to come to play.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right here. And, for tonight, what is your prediction for tonight? Number 5, North Carolina, going down to Florida State. Give us your score prediction. What do you think is going to happen in the game? Do you think your Tar Heels roll like I think me and Brandon both think they're going to?
I think so. It's such a it still trips me out, like of just all of the pageantry that's going on tonight. It was a primetime game where Doak Campbell and we're a favorite, which is it's still mind blowing to me. I think they're gonna take care of business. I think Florida State they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight. It's still a Florida, like we talked about. They're still a talented team. They're gonna fight. But I think Notre Dame, and not Notre Dame, Lord, North Carolina is gonna have that counter punch where I think essentially Carolina's gonna get punched in the mouth a few times. But then they're going to fight back and they're going to give some vicious left hooks. And I think it won't be close. I think it's going to be a situation where I think Carolina's going to pull it off in the second half. And it's going to be it might get a little ugly.
Yeah. I think Brandon called me out because I had UNC scoring 63 tonight is what I believe. I think the 63. Prediction. Yeah. I think it's going to be nasty.
They play basketball?
It's going to be a basketball game out there.
Bring in Roy.
There you go. But we got a comment here. Can Couch Coach be on the podcast more often? We've been in the works of stuff, man. Couch Coach will be appearing a lot more on here. This is just our first live stream since we all got together, so we had to get him on here to talk UNC. And speaking of UNC, he has good UNC takes, fair takes, unlike apparently me, who's just in love with UNC. But it's all good. It's all good. We love the Tar Heels here, except unless you're Brandon. But man, before we let you go, after this weekend, you guys should have a win over Florida State. Number 3 and number 2 play this week. UNC, you're talking about the ACC having the number 1 team in the country, the number 3 team in the country in Notre Dame, and the number 4 team in the country in UNC if all things go to plan. Did you ever think you see the day where UNC would be a top 4 team in the country? And if Notre Dame slips up, maybe even a top 3?
No. I mean, that's even at 5, seriously, I've never thought in my lifetime. And it's weird because I know they were number 5th ranked in 97. And because I think we talked about I think we talked about in the beginning how I became, because it was a guy named Ronald Curry who actually was probably one of the top athletes in my state. And he went to North Carolina. I kind of migrated to North Carolina with him because if he would have went somewhere else, I probably would have migrated. But this and the third. But I mean, I've seen struggles where I remember one year we went to Norman, Oklahoma in 2001 and got our tails handed to. I've seen the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. And to think, like, I mean, I've lived through the final year of Mitchell Trubisky, when we struggled after having Marquise at the helm, on the verge of going to the college football playoff. And I mean, I've seen it last couple of years, the John Button years, all these years. But I'm telling you, man, it's surreal, and it's so crazy to think that we're here and we're a top 5 team. Where it's just is amazing, like you said, and rising. And then the only thing too, and part of me, I wanted bask in this joy, but then I know Ohio State's coming, Penn State coming, and like I said, as I said earlier, no pun intended, but then now the Bluebloods are coming back. So now it's like, okay, we're gonna start, and I think that's gonna help us too. Where I think the motivation, where we might end up going down, as far as dropping in the ranks, especially maybe next week or so, once Ohio State and Penn State play, they're going to probably bump them up at the line. And of course, we're going to be the ones outside looking in a sense. So, and I think that's good for us, the motivation, because, so I think, but to think, if we sit here in 24 hours, this team could be the third-ranked team, potentially third-ranked team in the country.
Yep.
I'm gonna celebrate every week, but I'm always gonna come with a humble take, because I know all this stuff can come crashing down. I'm gonna enjoy every moment, week in, week out. It's a day-by-day process, and if Ohio State leapfrog us, it's okay. We need the motivation. We have a stretch where we are favorites. Let's just take care of business. Hashtag get to Charlotte.
There you go.
Charlotte.
Hashtag get to Charlotte.
All right. I've got one more question real quick before we let you go. All right. So obviously you've got the North Carolina basketball jersey right there behind you. And that little jump man on there, he must be pretty special to that school. So I know you two agree about a whole lot, obviously. There's something I don't think you agree about. And so I have to ask, MJ or LeBron?
I'm sorry.
MJ or LeBron?
Oh, Michael Jordan. He's one. Is obviously Ronald Curry drew me into football, but Jordan drew me into the basketball sector. So I like both. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do like both. I love what Jordan did in this game. I do love what LeBron has done, especially the evolution of the sport. So both guys in their era are GOATs. Now that sounds PC. That sounds, especially in an election year, I have a PC approach when it comes to the
I like it. Well, we'll have to get on the podcast and talk some basketball then, because Brandon knows I'm a LeBron guy, so I know he set me up on that one. But man, we appreciate you having us on. We're probably going to make this a reoccurring thing, so we're definitely going to want to have you back on eventually. But man, you can go ahead plug the podcast, man, because it's something everyone needs to check out. So go ahead, man.
Yes, indeed. The Couch Coach Live podcast. Check us out. All your favorite social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live, podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. And then also check out the YouTube page.
Yep.
All right.
Guys, check it out. His podcast is awesome. Listen to it with ours, man. But yeah, we will get back in touch with you, man. But we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. It is time. It is Brandon's brand new gambling segment. So Brandon, I'm going to be quiet here. I might even leave the stream. So go ahead and take it away.
Guys, you're going to want to stay. Zach, you're going to want to stay. And let me go ahead and preface this real quick. This is my gambling segment, but I only condone it if it's legal where you live. I only condone it if you can be responsible with it. So remember those two things before I get started here. But guys, I have a few picks that you're going to want to hear. And before any of that, I got one more thing. You see this sheet? Brandon's secret sheet. I'm going to read off of it. This is Brandon's secret stuff. I'm going to chug it while I do it. All right. So guys, I have a parlay for you. I've been hearing complaints. I don't have enough parlays. I only pick single games. I usually go money line which people apparently don't like. So I'm going to start going with the spread, and I'm going to start doing parlays, Zach. So are you ready? I'm going to title this one. This is the Rob Your Bookie parlay. And so we are going with, and write this down, guys, Western Kentucky plus 13, Army minus 8, North Texas plus 6, Louisiana Tech plus 13.5. And to wrap it all up tonight, we're taking Southern Miss money line minus 225. Guys, write that down. I'll say it one more time. Western Kentucky plus 13, Army minus 8, North Texas plus 6, Louisiana Tech plus 13.5, Southern Miss minus 225 money line. And you know what those odds are? They're plus 1819. They're plus 1,819. That means if you bet $100, you win $1,819. Guys, you can't afford to not do this. Put $10 on it, win $189. Put $1 on it, win $20 on it. It's easy enough. You can't lose. It's the Rob Your Bookie parlay. That's part of it. Other than that, guys, I've got Brandon's secret sheet right here. I've got the units. I've got the games. So first of all, I am going with it was an easy pick. I'm going to stick to it because I'm not a quitter. I'm not a loser like Zach. I'm going Pitt plus 13 against Miami today. Who cares? They don't have Kenny Pickett. That doesn't even matter. His receivers can't catch his balls anyway. His receivers have the most drop passes in the NCAA. Coincidence? I think not. Here's a sneaky one, guys. It's not a lock, but it is sneaky. I'm going with UMass plus 31 at Georgia Southern. Some people are saying, I hear it in my ear right now. I've got people talking, and what they're saying is UMass hasn't played a game this season, Brandon. UMass did not win a game last year, Brandon. 31 points is so many to Georgia Southern. Come on, guys. They have to cover that spread. I'm going UMass plus 31 at Georgia Southern. I've got so many more here for you, too. So let's go with Western. I've already said Western Kentucky. This is my parlay. I'm going with Syracuse with the outright win, with the money line win over Liberty, plus 139 today. Put the money in your pocket. I mean, do what you got to do. I don't care. Take out a second mortgage on your house. You got to pay for this. Someone's got to pay for it. We have to win these games. And guys, I'm going to go and give you my traditional gambling picks like I do every single Saturday. These are the ones that count toward my record. I am going with South Alabama money line minus 145. I'm going with, oh man, this is tough. I have to go with another one. Let's see. Brandon's secret sheet can't lose. So what am I even doing here? I'm going to go with NC State minus 4.5 at Duke. They have to win that. And then my lock of the week, guys, is going to be Louisville plus 16.5. They're playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not that good. They can't beat them by 3 scores. So Louisville, I mean, that's free money. That's a lock. So follow my picks, trail my picks, do what you got to do, make that money. And that's been Brandon's Gambling Corner. Zach, any questions before we end?
I'm good, man. Hey,
you don't have any gambling picks? Where are your gambling picks at? We have them every week.
No, yeah, I didn't have any gambling picks.
Well, then I have to give the people 6 gambling picks, Zach. Since you can't have any gambling picks. So I'm going. No, you shut up. I'm going with Boston College plus 12.5 playing Virginia Tech today. I'm going with North Texas plus 6 over Middle Tennessee State. And to cap it off, I've got a lock right here. I'm going Baylor plus 7 at Oklahoma State today. So there you go. You've got 2 locks. You've got 6 picks. Bluebloods are bringing you constant content plus the parlay.
Listen, mascot heads are coming soon. I'm actually gonna try to get mascot or helmets for our picks. And speaking of picks, mascot heads, everything, it is time. We got 20 minutes till kickoff, so we're gonna go ahead, pick some extra games, recap our pick 6 games. So Brandon, the first game on our docket here, South Carolina, Auburn. Auburn is traveling to South Carolina. They are a 3.5 point favorite. Who do you have and why?
Auburn at South Carolina. That's such a tough one. I don't know why you keep putting me on the spot here, but I'm gonna go. Shoot, I know who I had. I'm blanking. I can't find my pick, Zach. So why don't you give the people your pick?
Well, it's on the screen, B-Dub. I have Auburn 24-20 over South Carolina. I think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game. I just don't have a lot of confidence in the South Carolina defense. I think if there's ever a defense Bo Nix can actually play well on the road against, it's this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I actually think Auburn scores late to win with probably a minute or two left. I have Auburn 24-20.
I'm going with the upset. I knew I had South Carolina. I couldn't remember the score. So I'm going with South Carolina in this one. Same point total, Zach. We have the same. 4-point difference in these games. I think South Carolina just edges out Auburn. Last week solidified that for me. Auburn should have lost to Arkansas. So and South Carolina's been fairly impressive, at least in my opinion, this year. So I'm going with South Carolina with the win.
I like it. Clemson, Georgia Tech, Brandon. I think everyone kind of knows where we're going with this one. We'll go ahead and put it up. I have Clemson 56-10. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne play only the first half. Clemson's backups keep putting on the points. We know Dabo Swinney doesn't like to run up the score a lot on the small guys. So we're going 56-10 Clemson. I think Georgia Tech might get a touchdown late, or heck, maybe he attempts a 60-yard field goal and he gets blocked for a touchdown again.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. People don't talk about it nearly enough. I'm going with Clemson with a nice win, 69-3. Georgia Tech, and we've seen them perform fairly well this season, but there's no way they even get close to this spread.
No, I don't think it's going to be even remotely close. So, Brandon, West Virginia, Kansas, we'll go ahead and put it up. Everyone knows West Virginia is a 21.5-point favorite. I have a win. I have West Virginia covering 49-13 West Virginia. Jared Dougherty, too good. Kansas, Puka Williams cannot carry this team forever. Les Miles needs a rebuild and a rebuild fast.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I'm going with West Virginia in the shutout, 28-0. They cover the spread. I think it's slightly better than 49-13 for Kansas for Kansas. So I don't know. I don't think West Virginia is a good team, but I think Kansas is just that bad.
Hey, I like it. All right, we have Virginia, Wake Forest, Brandon.
Yeah, UVA. UVA, and it's. I know that our scores are both fairly close. They're both within 10 points of each other. I don't think this game's that close. I don't understand the line at 1.5. I think Virginia takes the fairly easy 10-point victory.
Yeah, I got a 21-13. I don't love either of these offenses. I think it's a low scoring game. I think I got 21-13 Virginia. I think that right now they are the better team, but I think Wake Forest could be someone sneaky in the future. They got some young talent, but the opt out of Sage Surratt, big loss for Wake Forest, and that is why Virginia is going to pull out the win today, guys. Brandon, Texas A&M, Mississippi State.
It's Texas A&M. We
Not
saw
so fast, my friend. Mississippi State for the win. You are crazy. This is my upset of the week. Mississippi State is going to come back, upset Texas A&M tonight, 49-41. Mississippi State, go Bulldogs.
Yeah, good. That is trademark, Zach. That was a Lee Corso quote. But you're wrong anyway. Let's disregard this whole thing. This is the same Mississippi State team that scored 2 points against Kentucky last weekend.
Listen, every single time Mike Leach blames his players or does some outrageous comment, they come back and win. And Brandon, you know Mike Leach, he likes to win when no one believes he ever can win again. And it is a perfect timing. Texas A&M thinks they're good now after beating up on this Florida team. I think Mississippi State sneakily gets a win today at home in Starkville. They have yet to win in Starkville under Mike Leach, Brandon.
Good. I hope they never win.
You got 42-10 A&M?
Yeah,
that's tough.
Well, I think they're that good. I think Texas A&M has surprised me. I do think they're good.
Wow, that's bad. Another SEC game here, Brandon. Ole Miss, Arkansas. Who do you have? I've got a feeling you're going to go with the upset here, aren't you?
Woo, pig suey. Let's go, Arkansas. They should have beaten Auburn last weekend. I mean, be honest.
Auburn's not good. You have South Carolina beat Auburn today.
Is Ole
I
Miss
think they're
good?
better than Arkansas.
I don't know.
I,
I
I
don't think so.
we both got close games though. I got 38-31 Ole Miss. I think this comes down to quarterback play. I trust Ole Miss more than I trust Arkansas in that. Do you really believe in Felipe Franks?
Wow, I mean, he should have beaten Auburn, so yeah.
Auburn's not good. Matt Corral almost beat Alabama.
I'm just beating you down, man. You just let me do it. Just let me beat you down.
Brandon's got the Hogs for some reason. 49. You think Arkansas is going to score 49 points?
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was going to be a high-scoring game. I think they have to keep up with Ole Miss, so yeah.
Wow. Okay. NC State Duke. I don't think this is going to be a very controversial one. We both have NC State here, 31-24, Brandon. I think Duke is just bad. Chase Bryce has not lived up to his potential, and I just don't think Duke has enough firepower. NC State's played really well. They beat Pitt in a big overtime game. They competed pretty well with Virginia Tech. I think NC State is actually pretty decent this year.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they're not suffering from nearly as many injuries as last season. This is the first team who's ever been better from COVID. So yeah, Duke's just bad. Duke's bad. That's all I have to say.
Kentucky, Tennessee, Brandon.
Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm going with Tennessee. You think it's that close?
I almost picked Kentucky.
Really?
Yep.
No, I think Tennessee got scared last weekend, and so they've got to come back. And I understand it's a rivalry game, so it might be that close, and Kentucky might win. But I think Tennessee. I think Jeremy Pruitt's pissed off. He's going to be playing pissed off, and so or his whole team is. So yeah, I've got Tennessee.
Listen, the Bear today on game day picked Kentucky. I was watching it.
Oh no! Wait, hold on. A Bear picked Kentucky?
Yeah, the Bear on College Game Day.
Yeah, the Bear. Oh, yeah. The Bear. Yeah, the
yeah.
Bear. Okay.
Wow, you are slacking on.
I was like, well, if it was a Bear, then I would have picked. I would have had to follow him. But it's the Bear. So.
Oh God, but yeah, I have a 1-point win for Tennessee. I think the Vols rebound, but it's close. Brandon, we've already kind of given our picks for this game. We have UNC big. UNC's a 13-point favorite. I have UNC 63-20. I think Sam Howell, Daz Newsome, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, it's too much. I think Chaz Surratt on the defensive side, Storm Duck, I think he's going to make Jordan Travis's life really, really tough on the other side of the ball. I have UNC gigantically, Brandon.
Yeah, no, I've got UNC pretty gigantic. Is gigantically a word? Because I've got them gigantically.
I like that word. Listen,
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know that our scores are different, but are they? Because we have the same score basically.
Yeah, the same score. So these are our pick six games, Brandon. Let's go ahead, break these down a little bit. Pitt, Miami. I know Kenny Pickett is still out. I'm still going with Pitt 28-27 over the Hurricanes. I think the defense, the Pitt's defense is going to make this Miami team really, really uncomfortable. Brevin Jordan, the only person who looks like they can catch a ball for the Hurricanes, is out. I think Pitt still pulls it out with a true freshman quarterback in the upset of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I submitted my number before I knew about Kenny Pickett, but Miami's going to win this one, man. Look, I know, I understand. I heard Couch Coach too. Pitt, and I said that on the episode, Pitt does always have like a statement win right around this time. Without Kenny Pickett, I don't see it happening. So I'm going with Miami. And if I had to pick a new score, I wouldn't say 21-20.
Boston College, Virginia Tech. I have Virginia Tech like a normal person, 30-28 over Boston College in a close game. Brandon, why are the Hokies frauds, and why did you pick Boston College here?
They're frauds because they're always overranked. They're always overrated. I mean, they're number 23, which I guess is fine. I mean, that's not really overrated. I mean, but they're usually like in the top 15 for some reason, like top 20. Get out of my house. I mean, that should be illegal. Boston College is good too. This offense air raid is unstoppable, and I think they're just going to smother Virginia Tech this weekend or today.
Yeah, I'll say it's today, but yeah, Virginia Tech is 11.5-point favorite. Brandon with the big upset here, and now game of the week. we have Georgia, number 3 in the country, traveling to face number 2 Alabama. Brandon, Nick Saban still waiting on his 3rd test. I still have not heard any news about whether he's going to coach. They're probably going to hold it till the last second. Who do you think is going to win the game of the year this far?
It's Alabama. I mean, it has to be Alabama, and that hurts me to say because I don't like Alabama. But guess what? I don't like Georgia even more. So that's a new development, by the way. I've gotten to that point in my life where I don't like Georgia that much, and maybe less than Alabama. So I don't know. Alabama is incredible. Their offense is off the charts good. Their defense, I think, is still good. I mean, they had a poor showing this past weekend, but I still think that's good. I'm not going to bury them just yet. Georgia, just the opposite. Defense, incredible. Offense is good. They're not great, but they're good. So yeah, I think it's a really low scoring game. So I went with the traditional 21-14 win for Bama.
Nope. Won't break the trademark again. Didn't know that was trademark, but that's not happening, man. Georgia is going to take this game with or without Nick Saban. I think Georgia's the better team right now. I think Georgia right now has the better defense overall. I mean, they got the better defensive line, the better linebackers, the better secondary. I think they're going to be able to slow down Najee Harris, put the game on Mac Jones' shoulders. I think the defense is opportunistic enough to get some turnovers. I think Stetson Bennett is that guy. I think he's going to play a great game. I think he's going to take care of the ball, get the ball into his playmakers' hands. Zamir White, James Cook are going to make some plays. Do you trust this Alabama defense to stop Georgia?
That's the thing. I think I might because, like I said, I don't think it's a bad defense. I think they had a bad showing last week. I don't think it's a bad defense.
Listen, I think Stetson Bennett is better than Matt Corral. I'll say that.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be the difference. I think as a former walk-on, maybe the moment's too big for him. I don't think it is. I think Kirby Smart, Brandon, he has been one play away from beating Alabama twice in the biggest games of his coaching career. I think he finally breaks through, and I think these teams probably can meet again later this year in Atlanta. I think that the loser of this game is not out of the playoff race right now. But guys, that is a wrap on our picks. That is a wrap on our live college game day live stream from the Bluebloods here. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. We know it's early. 9:30 was early for us too. I don't think Brandon was excited to be up. But his team doesn't play today. Auburn kicks off here in about 8 minutes up in South Carolina. So make sure to tune in to all these great games. We appreciate the support from all our people watching out there. Listen, you can find the podcast anywhere. Our social medias have been scrolling below this, and if you tuned in, you most likely know what our social medias are. Listen to the podcast anywhere you get them. Make sure to subscribe to YouTube if you're watching there. Brandon, anything you want to say to the people?
I love you. That's it. I mean, have a good Saturday. I mean, make the most of it. It's college football season. We didn't think it was going to happen, but we're here, so it's happening.
In 7 minutes, put that parlay in. Trust beat up to make you some money today, guys. But guys, we'll be back Monday with a week 7 recap episode. We got a preview episode coming out next week. We're probably going to do the live stream again. We'll announce it later this week, probably next episode. But guys, for right now,